You know what the best thing about the countdown is that the fans at home will never know what number I start with.
That's true.
Only you will.
Leave a comment below or tweet
I'm
us
gonna guess.
what number you think Connor started at today for our countdown. And while we do that, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. This is season 3, episode 8. It's time for standings predictions. When you're listening to this, we are 4 days away from the start of MLS season. That's crazy. Feels like just yesterday I was at home watching NYC win on penalties and my heart shattering a little bit. But I probably should have put a quote up here. That's probably what I should have put it done on the board. Eli Lesser this week in MLS on Twitter. Anybody else having the most trouble they've ever had putting their conference standings predictions together? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are. This was it. We've done this now. This is now set 3 for us. We did in 2019 or 2020, 2021. Now going into 2022. This is the hardest I've ever had trying to put together a group of predictions. So much movement in and out of the league. There's just a whole bunch of stuff. I can't even speak to it. My mind is just all over the place. We'll start with the East. We'll go to the West. We'll say some crazy things. I'll yell at Connor. You guys will agree with me. And we'll go on and watch what happens throughout the year. But before we do any of it at all, got to show a scarf of the week. I'm going with just a real simple Red Bull scarf. Little vertical stripe action, individual club crest on the corners, MLS crest. I like it. I think it's real nice. Just a comfortable scarf. I like the material too. What do you got?
It's probably the first time in a while that we've each gone with one of our favorite teams. Sorry, well, our respective favorite teams. So the lighting's kind of tough to see here, but I got my Atlanta scarf out.
There you go. We are the A.
We are the A.
That doesn't set yourself up for memes on memes.
404, the error message.
Yeah. It's probably the area code, but I'm going to look at it as the error.
No, I figure it's the area code, but I thought it was also the error message.
That's funny.
It summarizes how my brain was working putting together this conference standings.
Literally. I was right even before we started recording, I was moving people around after looking at the
it's going to move during the episode too.
Yeah, maybe.
100%.
So what we'll do is we will start by going 14-1 in the East, and we'll break down kind of where we've got people going. Then we'll talk about any major discrepancies we have, and then we'll go to the West, go 14-1, and go from there.
Sounds good.
That sound all right, Connor?
Well, it was my idea, so yeah, it does sound all right.
He says that, but it's my podcast, so everything's my idea. All right, I will kick us off.
Okay.
14 in the East, Charlotte.
Wow. Bold prediction off the bat. Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
I've got reasons. I've got little notes. 13, FC Cincinnati. 12, Inter Miami. 11, Montreal. 10, DC United. 9, Columbus. 8, Red Bull. Red Bull misses the playoffs. 7, Orlando City just getting in. 6, Chicago Fire. 5, New England. I'm probably going to move that. Maybe. They may go lower. 4, TFC. 3, New York City. 2, Philadelphia. And finishing off top of the East, Atlanta United.
Listen, I can't say I don't like the finish to that list, but there are some interesting choices in there. I mean, listen, it's your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. Your wrong opinion, but your opinion. We have a few teams that are actually very similar, and then we have some that are just completely like different. What do you want to do? You want to do the breakdown first for yours, or do you want me to run through mine?
No, I want to hear what you got. So hold on, let me just make a quick note here.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. Warm up those vocal cords. Get them ready. There's one team in here you're definitely yelling at me about.
Okay. I'm just going to record for the future, right? We always come back and talk about this. So let me just quickly record.
Yeah,
So
we
they-
need this for the end of the season when we see
Yep.
who was more right. Me.
It's always you because you're a cheater.
I don't. How do I cheat? Show me the proof.
All I know is that you didn't get supporter shield winner last year. So that's
I
what
did not, and yet I still won the standings predictions.
Did you? Did you really?
I did. Yes.
I need to find ways to get myself bonus points. Anyways, go ahead. Give me your 14-1.
All right. 14, I got FCC. 13, I got Inter Miami. 12, I've got Charlotte. 11, I've got Chicago.
Oh,
10, I've got DC.
all right. We match.
9, I've got Toronto. 8,
Oh,
I've got
wow.
Montreal. 7, I've got Red Bull. 6, Orlando. I got Revs at 5. NYC at 4. Atlanta at 2. Sorry, 3.
Atlanta at 3.
Yeah. Columbus at 2.
Oh my God.
And Philly at 1.
All right. We need to have some conversation here,
Yeah.
sir. This was brutal. Okay.
All right, why don't we start off about how you didn't put FCC last? You're
Let's
out of
talk
your
about,
mind.
let's talk about Charlotte. I don't want to talk about FCC. I want to talk about Charlotte. Charlotte's head coach came into national media 2 weeks before the season kicked off and straight up told them that they are screwed. He goes in front of them after the deal for Darwin Therese. Hold on. Darwin Machis. Sorry, I had my dyslexia moment there. Darwin Machis. And they asked him, they go, well, with the fall through of Darwin's move, where does the roster sit? And he straight up says, we'll talk about the roster after the roster building period is over. If we get more players, we get more players. But right now, we're screwed. That is the exact translation that came out on the screen. When your head coach in year one, when they're building a roster, says that you're screwed, you are FCC screwed.
I still think they're better than FCC.
I don't think so. They haven't scored a goal all preseason. Right?
Listen, I think I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I just think you're wrong. FCC are just
okay. Let's go in blocks. Let's go in blocks. We'll go 14, 13, 12. So Charlotte for me is going to be bad because their coach has no faith in them. And I think the coach thinks he's above the league. I mean, he was coaching all over South America, Europe. I think he thinks he's above where he's at and is going to be very condescending to a lot of what this league is. FCC at 13 physically cannot get any worse. Now they can, and it would break my heart if they did. I don't think they get into the playoffs.
You don't think?
But they're going to make a very, very, very small step in the right direction. Small. But Brenner is going to score double digits.
That's a step in the right direction.
All right. And then for 12, Inter Miami, complete roster rebuild. You're basically starting from this is basically another expansion team. So I expect them to struggle like an expansion team would. Not at the Charlotte or FCC level, but I would expect them to struggle. You're probably looking at 2 or 3 more years until this team is settled enough to be a proper playoff team, basically starting over from square one.
So I will make note that we did have the same 3 teams in this section, just in different orders.
Correct.
So I said FCC last because it's FCC. I don't think
this is a professional podcast. That doesn't count.
Yes, it does. It's FCC. It always counts. I genuinely don't think they got better in the offseason.
I don't
So
either.
it's just a matter of if their players that they already have got better to start the year. I just don't think they will be. They got a lot of catching up to do. I got Inter Miami 13. Pretty much the same reasoning that you said. Pretty much an entire roster rebuild. And to be honest with you, I don't love a lot of their signings. I think they're going to struggle defensively. Going forward is relying on Gonzalo Higuain for goals, I guess, which is never a good strategy to have.
Watch yourself, sir. He was double digits last year and had enough goal contributions to be considered one of my top finishing forwards last year.
Yeah, that's because he bagged a ton of penalties. Anyway, yeah, I think they're going to struggle again this year. Wouldn't surprise me if Neville doesn't make it the full season.
Ooh, that's bold.
I mean, maybe he makes it the full season, but I just think the team is it's in rough shape to go into this season. And then I got Charlotte 12. I just think that this league has improved enough that expansion teams can't come in and do what LAFC and Atlanta did and just like take the league immediately by storm. I think there's going to be some growing pains now as the league has just across the board gotten better. And not to mention, like some of the stuff that you said, I didn't know about that previously. It kind of makes me want to drop them below Inter Miami, which I might later on. We'll see. But not having the coach not having faith in the team is never good. It's never good, especially at the start. And then not scoring any goals in preseason is not a good start either. That is very Frank de Boer-esque. That's who your Frank de Boer comparison should have been. But yeah, I think not too much to talk about here. We got the same three at the bottom. So
it's funny. We put the three newest expansion teams in the bottom.
Yeah, kind of says something though, doesn't it? Well, three newest in the East, right?
Yeah.
Austin was in there as well, but
you've got teams from 2 years ago, team from this year, and a team that probably should still be in USL.
Yeah, I mean that just tells you that the league it's tougher anymore. You can't just join and have immediate success. You actually have to build the roster correctly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's definitely something to take from there. Let's go 11-8. Let's do just out of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely way more to talk about here.
11, I got Montreal. My notes here, Jordy can't do it all himself. I
got Mason Toy. Come on, do you need me to get Adam on the phone?
Quiet down. So when I was watching I didn't watch the Montreal CCL game, but from what what I was reading about it at the end of the day when I woke up the next morning was that it was basically all running through Jordy and they could not foster a goal. Yes, we're out of season. Yes, it's not it's not a massive indicator is the term I'm going to use for our possible success, right? That being said, there's just not a lot here that makes me jump for joy. And Kai Kamara at 37 years old is their now Impact sub. They just signed him last
Kamara
night.
Knows how to bag goals in this league.
And he does.
He's your new Wando this year. That Wando retired.
Fair. I just don't think that they've got enough going forward right now to make it work. They pulled a 1-0 loss against Santos on Tuesday. Just they couldn't get anything really going. Everything was going through Jordy, and he can't do it all himself. At 10, I've got DC United. I have no reason for putting them at 10. This is everybody gets put somewhere, and they just ended up being there. Now, if I had to pick a reason why, not super thrilled with their roster build. I think they're a little thin in most areas. Starting 11 isn't like jump off the page amazing either. We'll see what midseason is like if they bring in somebody, but right now there's nothing about the team that just makes me really excited. At 9, I've got Columbus, simply because they're all recovering from knee injuries. Like that entire team tore their ACL. The other part of that, they're also missing a ton of their back line, right? They basically rotated through 4 or 5 defenders from the season before. They brought in Dejanek, Anababa. They've got Moreira on the right back, but they still really don't have a left back. So I don't quite know exactly what's going to happen unless they go proper 3-5-2 and just hope that, Arthur and Perry Kitchen in front of them can do enough work. And I don't know. The shape is going to be a question. We don't really know what the shape's going to be or the system. It's just not a good sign right now. And then lastly, I've got Red Bull. I just bumped them out of here after today's playoff game. So here's the deal. It is looking continually evident that they are more than content with letting this team fail so that 2 or 3 players can improve and get sold. Daniel Edelman is being thrown out into the fire with really nobody to teach him how to do, the job that is needed of him in this this system and this job, right? And he's been out there the whole time. And I haven't watched anything because preseason isn't usually readily available. But I would not be shocked if Red Bull Global just says, don't care about your season. If Daniel Edelman is good enough to move on, we'll move him on. And that's all that we need. Again, and it comes back to this whole idea of Red Bull being a pipeline, right? If you win MLS Cup, you get like $500,000 in prize money or something like that. You sell Daniel Edelman for $2 million, you've won 4 MLS Cups. Red Bull doesn't care about winning. Red Bull New York, the team, the players do, but Red Bull Global probably doesn't. Excited to see what Luquinhas brings in. Probably going to bring good service in. My guess is this team is going to need to do what they did last year. They're going to start off slow. They're going to need to bring in formation changes and find the right fit. And then they're going to have to make that run that they did this year. I just don't think they have enough to get into the playoffs this year. So those are my 11 through 8s.
All right, I'll jump into mine. So my team's just outside the playoffs. I got Chicago at 11. I know you got beef with that one because you got Chicago at like 5 or something this year. You're out of your mind. You think Casper Shabilko is winning Golden Boot?
Tell me why.
Tell me why he's in it.
Ain't nothing but a heartache. Sorry.
Because I'm not nearly as high on Shabilko as you are. I think Shabilko was already in like the best system in the league in Philly. And I think he worked well in the system, but he wasn't like he's not like a Yosef, like scored a ton of goals like on his own. I feel like he relies more so on the system than as just like, I'm going to create goals for myself.
This all makes sense now. Sorry. You picked Vancouver last year, Whitecaps, ice, anti-fire.
Oh, and you picked fire.
I
okay.
picked fire.
That does make sense.
It does make sense. This is why we work well together, because you say dumb
fire
stuff,
and ice.
I say smart stuff, and we go together like that. I love it. This is why we're great. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I think Chicago's got the potential in a few years. I think they have good pieces, like Slanina and Shizikos, like we had mentioned. And I think they will get there eventually. I just don't think this is the year. Then I got DC at 10, kind of like the same thing that you had said, like just someone that has to be here. And DC finished around here last year, I know.
Yeah, and they were close. It wasn't like it was 10 and they were, 4 games out of playoff spot. They were there.
Yeah. I just think that DC makes sense to be around the same range that they were last year. I don't think that they really, I don't want to say that they necessarily improved on their roster. I feel like they probably are maybe just as good. And I just don't think you're getting any better out of Ola Kamara than you did last season. I think you definitely peaked with him being joint Golden Boot. Like that's as good as it's going to get probably from him. So you're probably not getting the same production in terms of goals from him. I kind of figure if DC did improve a bit from the offseason, that factor is probably going to counter and out. So I got DC 10, just not a ton of confidence in them. And then I got Toronto 9. So they're not getting Insigne until midseason. And at that point, I just don't think that this team has enough to like bring them into the playoff picture without Insigne. And then even when they do get him, and this ties back to our bold predictions, neither of us really think that he's lighting the league on fire right away. It's probably going to take some time to settle, and the wear and tear of a long season in Serie A is definitely going to play a toll. So I just think that this Toronto team on paper is just not that great. I agree with you. I like Salcedo. I think he's very good. But other than that, I don't have a lot of confidence in the back line. They got Mavinga, I think, is the other starting center back, and then Luke Singh is what, your third string?
No.
Yeah. So
No, they got Luke McNaughton too, who won the Canadian Premier League last year.
Anyway, no Richie Larea again. Richie's gone. They have Pozuelo, who's definitely good enough to carry a team, but I'm very curious to see what we get from him last year. I think he was battling injuries a lot last year and got to see him a bit towards the end, but I can always coming back from injury too. I just think there's a lot of uncertainties with the guys that they need to do well. And I don't think the team is good enough or deep enough to get them into the playoffs this season. Now going into next year with a full rested, healthy Insigne and maybe a couple of other pieces added, Toronto could tear this league apart. But I just think this is kind of a stepping stone. Again, I think Bob will bring them forward. That's why I got them ninth. Definitely not second to last in the league again. But I don't think it's ready yet. And then I got Montreal 8th, just missing out again. Heartbreak. I feel bad doing it. But I completely agree with what you said about Jordy being the focal point where everything in the attack is going through Jordy. And he definitely had a super strong season last year. I don't know if he can do it again. And if he can't, I don't know how much faith I have in the Montreal attack. I do think he does have some help. I think Kyoto is a really good player. I think he gets overlooked a lot. He had a pretty strong year last year. Toy was playing very well, and then I presume he got hurt because he just didn't play pretty much for like the rest of the season. But I think there's potential there for Toy. I think the team has talent. That's why I see them right around the playoff picture again. But I just think that they're missing like a star or like someone else to help play make with Jordy. Because like if Jordy can't get it done, and I don't know if I had the utmost faith in Jordy to get it done, then I think that they struggle. So that's why I got to make.
I think it is worth noting that they've got some exciting potential on the wings.
Lassi Lapalainen, yeah, I totally agree.
Try again. Torres is and Miljevic, I'm sorry, are both players that I think can be successful. Their shape, they came out in a 3-4-3 and played Lapalainen with Mihailovic in front of him on the left wing. I think if they change that shape and let Jordy come in a little bit more centrally with some wingers around him, I think more success, but that's just me. Let's go ahead and move into 7-4. We'll do 7-4. I've got Orlando at 7. I think it just takes them a little bit too long to get the front three clicking for them to be top 3 or really even top 5. But I do think that once it does, they will be okay. And I think their back line will be strong enough to hold them in games and get them 1 point instead of 0 points. And that's the difference between 7th and 8th, right? All right. Let's talk Chicago, who I have at number 6. This Chicago team is recreating what they did in 2017 when they got.
Oh, here we go with this again.
Here we go again. You've got a big target forward who's prolific in his goal scoring ability. You've got a strong German defender. You've got a dynamic winger. You've got what I just looked him up. Jairo Torres, who is a Mexican youth international, who's going to come in and play on the other wing from Shaqiri, which we're talking about is probably one of the things that they needed to go get. And then they are also looking at a signing from the Venezuelan league, the Venezuelan Player of the Year, Yerson Chacon. They are improving everywhere. They've got Gagas Linian in goal, which is an improvement over anybody they've had there since Sean Johnson. This team is set up for success, and Kasper Shabilko is going to be the reason that it happens. If you haven't seen some of the bold predictions from last episode, make sure you go check them out. But this team is primed to be successful. And if you disagree, that's okay. It's okay to be wrong.
Let me ask you a quick question here.
I hate your questions. What?
I know you made the argument for Inter Miami about all the turnover. Couldn't you make the same argument for Chicago here? I mean, they have a ton of turnover in this team.
I definitely could, but the turnover is a bit different, right? So Inter Miami's turnover is 22 players who have never met each other. Chicago is 6 players who have never met each other. Most of them either in a position where they don't really need to be as in tune with the rest of their team. And I'll say that kind of as a lack of a better term. If you put Shaqiri on the wing and let's say, okay, just go 1v1 and cross the ball all day long, it doesn't matter what the players around him are doing. He's just going to do his job. Jabilko needs to be a little bit more in tune with the system. So does Shazikos, and so does, but again, the other person that they're bringing in a U22 Venezuelan who's going to just play. And then you got Jairo Torres who's going to do the same thing. Go have fun, right? But a lot of that team also still has MLS experience. So it's not like they're going to have a brand new team. That's what Inter Miami is doing. If you look at what they did in 2017, all of those players that came in hadn't played in MLS before. It took them a little bit to get going outside of Dax, but they did, and they did fine. Chicago to the Os. We're streaming every Chicago game so we can.
Oh, absolutely not.
Until they start playing well, and you're like, oh, I'm going to watch this. In 5th, I've got New England, and I'm okay. I mean, I know you have them there too, but I think they're going to probably find a goalkeeper that's not Brad Knighton. Brad Knighton's not bad, by the way. I know a lot of people. I mean, he's not Matt Turner, but Matt Turner is not anything super catastrophic losing him either. Buchanan's out. Books is going to be probably gone midway through, I would assume. Right now, nobody to replace Turner. Omar Gonzalez is replacing somebody in the back line and Josie Altidore up top for Buxa. This team is probably going to be in a fight till decision day. I think they'll probably be in a comfortable fight, kind of like Orlando last year, where their playoff position is secure for the most part, unless some catastrophic thing happens. But they just need to find out their positioning at last day. Then they'll go in the playoffs, win MLS Cup because Bruce Arena said so. So rock on. Goals from Josie Altidore, Omar Gonzalez, and Sebastian Lletget. I think the Sebastian Lletget's a good pickup too. I think that's not too bad at all. So. And then at 4, I've got TFC. Lots of big signings. Biggest won't be here until June. We know this. Salcedo in the back to keep you afloat, relying on an aging midfield. I'm okay with bringing them down. If we were making one big list, I'd say I'm okay with bringing them down. I do think Ayo Akinola has a great year. We talked about that last episode. Yeah, not too much there. They probably can improve themselves at goalkeeper. I like Mavinga as a center back too. I think he and Salcedo will work well together. Michael Bradley is forever our GOAT, so he has to be top 4. And yeah, I don't have too many gripes with. I mean, we poked a lot of holes in them, but I think Bob Bradley is a magician and will get the best out of this team. That's my 7 through 4.
If you say so. All right, my 7 through 4. So I got Red Bull 7. I think you had them 8. I think they
Yep.
sneak into the playoffs. I do agree. I kind of feel like when we were going over their transfers, I do think I kind of overrated their transfers a little bit. I don't think that who's playing at right back now? Is it Nealis?
Yep, it'll be Dylan.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm not high on that one, honestly. I mean, you had Kyle Duncan, who is arguably the best right back in the league. And I don't think Dylan Nealis is nearly filling in the shoes there. So I think that's like one of the things that's going to hold him back a bit. Bringing back Aaron Long does help a lot, though. Him and Sean Nealis should create a very strong partnership with Cornell. I think the defense will be the strong suit of their team. And then in the attack, no Fabio this year, so you're relying on Patrick Klimala. It's not a good thing.
For now.
But granted, he probably can't be worse than he was last year.
wasn't
Not saying he was terrible.
It wasn't bad.
I'm not saying he was
definitely be worse.
terrible,
He
but
can definitely be worse.
he should have done a lot better last year.
Correct.
I think there's still plenty of talent in this team to get them into the playoffs. Plus, Red Bull don't miss the playoffs. They find magic ways to get in. So,
And with that, Red Bull are officially eliminated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think they sneak in again. And then I got Orlando at 6. Again, probably the same reasoning that you had them at 7. I think their midfield and defense carry them to this spot, and I think the attack is going to take some time to kind of settle in and figure out who's playing where and how things are lining up. And one of my other concerns with Orlando is their backline depth. We talk, I feel like every year about how they just don't have anybody at left back except Matinho. So I am concerned in that regard. But yeah, it's still a lot of good chemistry on this team and good talent that I think they get into the playoffs again. Revs at 5, again, same conversation that you had. I would absolutely drop this team down more though if they lose Buxa and Josie Altidore ends up being their replacement. I remember going through Revs subreddit when they signed Josie, and I saw way too much optimism there. Josie Altidore should not be your optimistic replacement for Adam Buxa. I'm sorry. He shouldn't be.
I know what I'm clipping up. I know what I'm doing with this video.
Buxa was one of the best strikers in the league last year, and Josie's not the ambitious. Josie's not the ambitious signing that I think that they should be going for using the Buxa money. You're going to get good money for Buxa.
Serena's tired of ambitious signings. He played with LA for 7 years and had the most ambitious signings in the league. He wants to do it with no
do it again.
He's tired of it. He said, "Give me a challenge, damn it."
He said, "I'm going to take Josie out the door, Omar Gonzalez, and we're winning the league." No more Tommy Mack, I don't think, but
no, Tommy Mack will get it.
Am I still there? Okay.
National Jet, Omar Gonzalez, Josie Altidore, and Brad Knighton. Come on, what else do you need?
Yeah, I'll still give them 5th because there is still very good players in this team, and they have Bruce Arena. So, I think if they lose Buxa though, they're probably yo-yoing in and out of the playoffs for most of the season, in my opinion. And then 4, I got NYCFC. This is where they finished last year in the league. I don't think they really changed the team at all. I know that they won the MLS Cup, but I think in terms of league play, I can't see them really changing much in terms of where they finish in the standings. I know that they have good, obviously, chemistry and good cohesion, solid coach, one of the top goal scorers in the league. All of this would change, obviously, if Tati leaves and they're relying on a bear. I would absolutely drop NYC down to the lower part of the playoffs because I think Tati is such a huge part of this team.
He is their team.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they'll finish pretty much around the same spot.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into 3-2-1 so we can move on to the West.
Yeah.
I got NYC at 3, returning basically their entire championship team. They did lose Sands. I'm wondering if Tati's here the whole time. I've got no issues. If not, I still think Hebert's a good replacement. The issue would be if Hebert gets hurt. I think they'll be fine. They got a new DP center back in. They can go 3 back. They can do a whole bunch of different things. Sean Johnson in goal is still very good. I think they'll be okay. Philly at 2. I'm pretty sure that's like in one of those weird MLS rules where Philly always has to be at number 2.
Yeah, kind of like FCC has to be bottom 2 at least. Bottom 1.
I think Carranza is a good addition there. They've got a good, strong returning core, and their depth, while young, can still slide in and play the game. Look for Paxton Aronson to have a big season. Look for Leon Flock to have a big season. They will be totally fine. And lastly, at number 1, I've got Atlanta United. I love the roster build. I love everything. I mean, their first 15 slots all have at least 1 year MLS experience outside of Almada. I think Pineda is the right guy to lead the team, because he's gonna take his hands off and say, Joseph, Almada, Arujo, go have fun, go play football, and that's what they'll do. So I'm excited to watch this team. I think they'll be very, very fun to watch. And I think they'll probably top the East this year.
I like that. I like that.
I know you do.
You got more optimism than me, though.
Yeah, because you can't put your team in a place to succeed. That's just wrong.
I would put them 1, but I got them 3. I think my concern with the team, because I agree with you, I think the attacking talent is super explosive. They're going to be so fun to watch. I'm very much concerned about chemistry with this team, though.
Okay.
It feels very much like a team of individuals at the moment rather than a team. And, I like to compare them to Philly, where Philly feels like a team, where it's not individuals. I don't look at that Philly team and say, like, this guy, he's a superstar in the making. This guy, he's absolutely like MVP conversation day 1. The team is just good. They know their system. Everybody's good in every spot, and they work well together. My concern for Atlanta is that while the talent is off the charts, I don't know how well they'll click together. So that's one thing I'm going to be keeping my eye on this year. I still think the talent carries in the top 3, though. There's just too much talent not to. And then Columbus at 2. I think Columbus make a big recovery this year. I agree with you that the left back is a concern because I don't even think they have one on roster right now.
They've got one, and it's a homegrown signing.
Yeah. I'd hopefully like to imagine they get someone in, but at this point, I don't know. If they were to get in a left back, and maybe they're planning on playing in a system where they don't need one, but I just think if you look at the roster, this team is still super, super talented, like very much talented. Miguel Berry and Giassi Zardes up top, Yosel Rayon, Pedro Santos, Kevin Molino, Luis Diaz. You still got Mensa in the back line with Steven Moreira, Eli Room's still in goal. The midfield still got Nagby in it. You've got Artur. And I know you had mentioned a lot of these guys are coming back from injuries, and that's totally fair. I think I'm just opting on the side of optimism here in terms of their recoveries. And I just think the talent is just crazy good. I think Porter, hopefully, we know that Porter can win in this league. I think he finds a way to get this group of guys to work better this year than they did last year. Hopefully he gets better luck with injuries. The guys stay healthy. But I just think this team is super talented. They got a coach that knows how to win, and they got a superstar that to play around, Lucas Zelleran. And flashback to last episode where I said that he was going to be the MVP winner, and I fully believe that because I think he is talented enough to do it, and I think he now has. I think this is his 3rd year in the league now, or at least like his 3rd season, maybe not his full 3rd season, but I think he will feel much more settled in and really start to tear this league apart. And then I got Philly at 1. I just think that system is super unbeatable. Jim Curtin's got this thing rotating like clockwork. If one guy is out, like Jamiro Montero, he's going to have the next guy in line, and they will step up immediately and fill that role. No questions asked. Shabilko's out. I think they replace them fine, whether it's Julian Carranza or if it is or if they get a visa for Mikhail Yuri, they will be fine. They replace their guys well. Their defense is rock solid, probably the best in the league. They know how to play together. They know how to win. This team's going to win the top of the East again.
That, Sarah, is what we call a bold prediction.
That's not a bold prediction. Philly finishing first. That's pretty safe. I feel like.
Okay.
Now, if you said Chicago finishing first, that's a bold prediction.
All right. Well, let's jump over to the West then. I'll go 14-1. You go 14-1. Then we'll talk about it. In the West, at 14, I've got San Jose. At 13, I've got RSL. At 12, I've got Austin. At 11, I've got Houston. At 10, I've got Vancouver. At 9, I've got the Galaxy. At 8, hello, Minnesota fans. You're at playoffs. At 7, I got Colorado. At 6, I've got Portland. At 5, I've got Dallas. At 4, I've got Sporting KC. At 3, I've got Seattle. At 2, I've got Nashville. And at 1, I've got LAFC.
I've got to say, our Western Conference,
it's got to be very close. I know we have
very similar.
Yeah,
nothing nearly as crazy as the East.
No.
I can tell you for a fact, 9 through 14, we have the same, not the same order, but the same teams.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I'll run through mine, and then we'll have some discussion. I took some risks here with the conference standings, but I went San Jose 14, RSL 13. I got Vancouver 12. I got Galaxy 11.
Ooh.
Houston 10. I got Austin 9. I got Colorado 8. Dallas 7. I got Minnesota 6. Portland 5. SKC 4. Nashville 3. Seattle 2. And Steve Tarundalo's Maxime Crepeau's LAFC 1.
Up top. That was a good one. So before we recorded, I mentioned having a very interesting tidbit from the San Jose. So we'll go 14-12 again.
Oh yeah.
From the San Jose. All right. So we posted a clip for a not so deep dive on San Jose, and we had a fan reach out and ask us some questions and comments and things, and we were having a conversation. And currently he's saying that in preseason, they're using a back three in what looks like a 3-6-1 with the second forward dropping into that midfield line. Their back three are Nathan, Tanner Beeson, and who do you think the third one is?
Hold on, give me a sec. I do want to guess, but I want to pull up their roster.
Okay, go quick.
Because I don't know who plays on San Jose.
I know you're not going to get it. That's why I have to ask you.
See, my brain would say like, oh, it's maybe like Francisco Calvo, because that would make sense. But the way that you're phrasing it makes me think it's like Jackson Ewell.
It is Jackson Ewell as a ball-playing center back.
I was right.
Are you ready? It gets better. It gets better. Judson, the center defensive mid, is being used as some sort of pivot to play center defensive mid and right back at the same time.
How does that even work?
They tried this at the men's national team with Tyler Adams, like 2018, where he would start at right back. In attack, he'd go play defensive mid. Then in defense, he'd come back to right back. There's nothing about this team that feels anything secure. If this team wins more than 10 games, I'm eating my socks. I don't know.
So what is the other midfield? Is it Gregorius and Remedi then?
Yeah, and so my guess is it's Nathan Beeson, Jackson Ewell with I know, right? With Judson, Grey Goose, maybe Remedi. I don't know if he was in there, but what's happening is they're playing Chofis as like an attacking striker, and he's that guy who's being number 6, and then Montero's being the number 10. It's just such a mess. There's nothing about it that gives me any sort of yes.
Who's
This
playing
team,
up top? Anybody? You said
it's
that was
I
Trophy.
think it's Benji Kajanovic and Chofis. And Benji is flying.
Are they really going to spend the other season not playing Kate Cowell?
I think Kate Cowell plays on the wing in this formation. I don't know. I don't.
Think, honestly, I think Almeida's just given up. I think he's just doing this for the memes at this. I mean, so based on the way that they're lining up, it doesn't sound like Christian Espinosa's in this team.
No, I think it's Espinoza and Cowell with.
I thought Judson was playing like right back though.
No. Judson's playing, so it's.
Yeah, we need the whiteboard.
We're going to the whiteboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 GK back here, right? So if this is Judson here, what's happening is if we have the ball.
Hold on. When you talk, you got to face the camera because otherwise it's hard to hear you.
Okay. When San Jose has the ball, this is what it looks like. When San Jose does not have the ball,
that's when he goes to right back.
That's when he comes in here. And my guess is Montero back, Chofis Lopez back. So then it turns into this. Because my if I have to understand this correctly, Jackson Ewell is filling the space here. There's no way he's just sitting at center back. So you've got slide in, drop back, step up. The shape must be gnarly.
So you think Ewell goes forward when they go defensive, but then when they go attacking, he drops into the center back hole
and picks it up? I don't know. I wish I could watch a San Jose game like on stream. I think San Jose is the team we're streaming first in this season because I need to watch this system. It's unbelievable. If this is true,
who's up top with trophies? Oh, you said it was Kakanovich or something.
Yeah, Benji or because I think it's Espinoza, Cowell, Chofis, JM, Grey Goose, Judson.
Yeah, and then the back three that you're talking about.
And then Remedy fills in. That's how I'd have to assume it lines up.
Okay, so then
and this is where Soccer Nerd 101 comes in, because you look at that and you're like, okay, that's not too bad. Then you put tactics involved and these arrows come in and you're like, this is a mess. So great.
Oh yeah, it seems like a total disaster.
It didn't work for the men's national team. It's not going to work for Jackson Ewell.
He's running out of people to back pass to. He's only got the goalkeeper.
him and JT Marcinkowski, best friends.
JT is going to be put in some bad spots this year. That's my guess. Bold prediction.
I'm going to move on. I think we waffled on enough.
Oh, that was funny. All right. Yeah, that was totally worth it. Go on.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was really good. RSL at 13 lost their best player, barely made the playoffs the year before. Brought in a striker who's probably going to bump one of your two to the bench. You brought in Scott Caldwell? That's about it. I don't know. I don't see this team being anywhere near as good as most of the teams in the West this year. Austin at 12. Urudi's a good improvement up top, I think. Ring going forward. And they actually got a comment on this too on the YouTube video that they said that the whole signing for Valencia was for Ring to be freed up forward.
Let's go.
Good for you.
It was me. It was my burner account.
It doesn't matter though. I don't care because it's not like you're releasing Caden Clark, for example. Not at the level, right? But Caden Clark is an attacking midfielder. It's not like you've tied him to center defensive mid role and now you brought somebody in who can let him go forward, right?
You should have used Yu Kubo as an example.
No. They made
that's another episode idea. Players playing out of position.
Made some good depth moves, Ethan Finley and such. But nothing makes me think that this team is like super playoff ready yet. I think you probably got one or two more years before that happens.
But Ethan Finley. Oh, you're talking about Austin.
I was.
Okay. I thought you were still talking about ourselves. Like, I thought Ethan Finley went to Austin.
We're just talking about Alex Rain.
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't listen to me anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got San Jose last. Basically, the same thing you were saying. I think this team's gonna be a wreck this year. I don't think Almeida makes it the full season. But somehow San Jose score lots of goals every year. They just give up about a bajillion. And with MLS 4.0, it might be 2 bajillion this year, honestly. RSL 13, I could almost make the argument for, like 90% of the teams in this league that they improved this offseason and got better. RSL did not. They went backwards.
They did.
They lost their best player, arguably, whether you think it's him or Krylak. And they didn't bring anybody to replace this. Like they brought in very MLS like 2.0 signings.
Yep.
They brought in veteran experience from within the league for the most part. I feel like this team's just it's not good enough on paper. If something were to happen to Damir Krylak, I can't imagine what this team would look like.
It would look like San Jose.
Yeah. I even think San Jose would probably have more talent on paper. I do think RSL still have some good players in there, like Aaron Herrera, the guy in between goal that we don't talk about.
Snake.
Yeah. And Justin Glad. So I think defensively that will probably be their strongest point. But to say that those three are your strongest point in your team, probably the reason why I got them at 13th. 12th, I got Vancouver. I think Vancouver they struck lightning at the end of last season and got red hot and made the playoffs on the back of Ryan Gauld and Brian White. Ryan and Brian. I like that. That's a good duo name. But I don't see them carrying that momentum into this season. I don't like the moves that they made. I don't trust Hasal in goal yet. I don't like the bringing in of Tristan Blackman for the back line to pair with.
I hope Tristan Blackman is like finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. And
if he is, I won't make another episode. I said that about something else too. I think it was like FCC doing well or something. But
yeah,
if Tristan Blackman is a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year, I will quit the podcast.
We need a list, like a whiteboard behind us on each episode that's like, if this happens, podcast over forever.
Yeah, exactly. FCC finish in the playoffs, podcast over forever. Yeah, I don't like them defensively. And as we talked about, this is shifting towards a very attacking league. So that will hurt them, I think, a lot. And if they don't get the production out of Ryan Gauld and Brian White, I got question marks as I know that there are other guys that can step up. They got Christian Dijome, they got Daibar Casero, do they still have Cavallini? Maybe Cavallini. So there's guys there other than those two to produce, but I don't know. I don't see this team being good enough to make the playoffs. They rode. The only reason they made the playoffs was because Brian White and Ryan Gauld got hot.
Yep.
Otherwise, they were floating outside of the playoffs, and I just think that's the same case this year.
I agree. All right, 11 through 8. I got Houston. I think Ferreira is a good start to get the team back into business, but I'm not really sold on Nagamura as a head coach. I don't think FIFA Paco. Whoa, I don't think Pico can hit FIFA. Man, it's late, guys. I don't think Fafa Pico hits double digits again. And I'm not. They just cut Joe Corona. I don't know.
They cut Joe Corona.
Yeah, they bought him out to make room for other signings. But right now, on paper, with a week before the season, that center mid is not amazing. Back five would leave Parker, Steres, and Hadebe exposed. Clark and goal is better than Maric, but I think you're still a few years out on Houston. I got Vancouver at 10. Same thing, kind of what you said. I think the magic wears off. I don't think Brian White has that type of goal scoring ability. And again, I think Ryan Gauld's going to get figured out. I think people are going to figure out how he rolls, and kind of like Kaku, he'll drop off a little bit. And the CM spot's a little weak for my liking. Maybe Chow Alexander changes that if he's healthy, but that would have been a good one for comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
At 9, I got Galaxy. I don't know how Costa fits in yet. Cabral and Grandsir were your 2 best players on the wings last year, and one of them's going to have to sit. So you're going to need Costa to improve on that. Chicharito's going to be in the goals, but not sold on the back line. I think they'll probably struggle a little bit this year. Same thing as the last couple of years. They'll be in amongst it. They'll be in the mix and then come down to the last day and RSL will knock them out. The RSL will not be in the playoffs, though. I just want to make that clear. They will beat them on the final day.
Well, we'll see about that. RSL might just bicycle kick their way in.
And then last at 8, I've got Minnesota. I think this is the year.
Here we go.
Yeah, I think this is the year.
Start the violence.
Start of the violence. Yep, hook into my veins. I need a Minnesota scarf just so that I can be like, we are friends.
They're not going to sell you a Minnesota scarf.
They're just really thin, right? I think we talked about this in our deep dive. They just are super, super thin. And then they did just bring back Luis Amaria. So they brought him back after I prepped this. So that might push them into the playoffs. But like you had mentioned, I don't think he gets in over Hunu. So he's really just coming off the bench to be an impact player. You've got Debasi and Boxel, Chase Gasper, Metnier, and then Will Trapp, Hassani Dotson, Reynoso, Robin Ludd, Fragapane, and Hunu. Everybody else after that, I'm not sure. I mean, you got O'Neal Fisher, who can play on either wingback spot. You've got Ja'Cory Hayes, who can fill in for the center back spot, but I don't love him either. And then everything else is just like, eh. So I think they're thin, and I think when somebody like Reynoso or Hunu or Fragapane are figured out, I don't think they have somebody they can replace that guy with to get the goals. So that's why I have them at 8.
No, you have them at 8 because you want violence with Minnesota for some reason.
I don't love the violence. The violence just comes naturally, you know. That's the next one I'm ordering. I'm ordering a Minnesota scarf.
11, I got Galaxy. I'm not high on Galaxy this year. I think that they struggled big time at the end of the last season, and that's what knocked them out of the playoffs inevitably, because they were very strong at the start of the season. They looked great. Chicharito was banging in goals for fun. Then Chicharito got hurt, and the team still was okay for a little while, but at the end of the season, they were not good. And I just feel like that form is going to carry into this season. I just think too much is riding on Chicharito. If he gets hurt again, I think they're really in trouble. And even if he stays healthy, he's going to score lots of goals for them. I don't know if there's enough there to support him and get him into the playoffs. I mean, we've seen it before with LA. They had Zlatan. Zlatan scored bags of goals for them, and they still didn't make the playoffs. I mean, it's more than just signing one good player. So,
yep.
And I don't think the guys that they have around Chicharito are strong enough to get them into the playoffs, in my opinion. I got Houston at 10. I really like the signing of Ferrer. I think that's super exciting and fun and very off-brand for Houston. So good on you, Houston, for breaking out of your comfort zone. I think he'll play well with Tyler Pasher and FIFA up top. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. A little disappointed you didn't poke fun at. I called him FIFA for you.
I'm sorry. I just got an update that was Transfer MLS's predictions. So I was reading those through to compare them to ours. But I think from now on, he is FIFA Pico, isn't he?
He joins the group with Jordan and Aaron Austin.
Trusty, yeah, know about it.
And Dwayne.
Dwayne, yes, we need.
Yeah, we're building a good 11 here.
We are. We really are.
All right, rest of the Houston team, it's okay. I didn't realize they bought out Joe Corona. I don't like that move, but they do still have some good midfielders. They have Derek Jones. They have Darwin Surin. They have Matthias Vera. The back line is questionable to me. Valentin's he's a veteran. They got Steres, Hadebe, and Parker at center back. I think center back is definitely their strong spot in the back line. Clark's definitely, I would say, an improvement over March, but I don't think it's that much of an improvement over him. So I think that they're making steps in the right direction. They're just not there yet. Ferrer is a fantastic player. That's the guy you need to build your team around. So we'll see in the future if that's what they start to do. At 9, I've got Austin. A bit ambitious on Austin. I will agree. Their concern last year, I would say, was scoring goals. They had the lowest goal scored in the league, even behind FCC. And I think that they made good efforts to try and fix that. I think it's good that they recognize that was a problem area and are making improvements in regards to that. They brought in a ton of players, so odds are at least like 1 or 2 of them work out. That's at least my thinking there. If they get more goals this season, I definitely think that they'll be better defensively, despite the fact they lost Beasler. Their midfield's strong. We talked about Valencia and Ring already. So I expect a much better year out of Austin this year. I think they're making steps in the right direction. Hopefully start to put the pieces together, get a little bit more consistency and chemistry, and maybe next year add a couple more pieces and make that playoff run. And then 8, I know you were excited about this one last episode. I got the Colorado Rapids from 1 to 8 out of the playoffs. My bold prediction. And I don't even know why, honestly.
Because you love hatred with the Colorado Rapids.
This is my Minnesota.
It is. It definitely is.
I don't like the fact that they're losing Trusty, and I think Keita has good potential. I'm concerned about his ability at the moment, his current ability. I think Trusty was a super important part to this team, and probably a big reason as to why Yarbrough joined Golden Gloves last year. I don't see Yarbrough doing that again. I think that was a result of a strong back line that I think without Trusty will have issues. Going forward, nobody was like an out and out like top scorer, I don't believe. I know Rubio is, I think, their attacker. They've got Jordan Lewis on their team.
Oh, we got to add him to the list too.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised we missed him. That's weird. Yeah, the team, I think, absolutely overachieved last year in getting first in the West. I think the West improved a ton. Just within the teams that were there last year, on top of the fact that they've added Nashville to the West now. The competition's a lot harder. I know you're high on Max Alves. For some reason, I'm not. I don't really even know why.
Because you want the smoke. We've been through this.
I guess so. I guess I just inevitably want the smoke. So yeah, I think that they overachieved last season, and that now they're going to come back to earth, and earth is right outside the playoffs, in my opinion.
So I will say that is a bold Colorado pick, but nowhere near as bold as Will Forbes put them.
Where did he put them?
12th.
Wow.
So just to go through Will Forbes, and this is since we've already spoken about ours. In the East, 14-1, Montreal, Charlotte, DC, FC Cincinnati, Inter Miami, Columbus at 9, Chicago at 8. So you know these are wrong. Toronto at 7, New England at 6, Philly at 5, Red Bull at 4, Atlanta at 3, Orlando at 2, and NYC at 1. In the West, Austin in 14, Vancouver 13, Colorado 12, San Jose 11, Houston 10, RSL 9, SKC at 8, Minnesota 7, Nashville 6, Dallas 5, LAFC 4, Portland 3, LA Galaxy 2.
What?
Seattle at 1. This dude's on something. I love it.
That is insane. His comment section has got to be blowing.
Oh, it is blowing up. There are a lot of people who have never seen a game before, and apparently he's one of them because that's all I'm reading.
No, that totally but that checks out though, because that's how the standings are going to look by the end of the season.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It never turns out the way that you expect it will.
Yeah, SKC Shallowy and Russell are going to tear their ACLs and they're going to finish 8th.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they'll probably finish like 14. This isn't for anybody that's listening from Europe. This league does not function that way. We don't have the top 6 that finish in the top 6 every single year, or like even remotely close. This rotates like crazy. Like a team will Toronto finish 2nd in 2020, 2nd in the league. All right, that's like Liverpool, right? Imagine Liverpool then the next season finish 19th in the league. Because that's what they did. Toronto finished 2nd to last the season after that.
And there are more teams too.
Yeah,
so they finished worse.
It's insane. It is.
It's unbelievable.
It's impossible to predict.
Yeah. So we'll go 7-4. I've got Colorado at 7. Not sure how they pulled out first in the West last year, but everybody around them got better, and they brought in one.
We're both on the Colorado hate train. I love it.
We brought one U22 player in. I think they'll be okay, but they won't be top 4. I would not be shocked to see them out, by the way. Kellen Acosta was massive for that team.
Yeah.
6, I got Portland. Everybody back from their MLS Cup run last year outside of their goalkeeper, and that role is a little bit unsure. Blanco being another year older, not really sure who's going to be starting up top. I think they're in the playoffs, but they're fighting for it. 5, I got Dallas. They went and spent that Pepe money, and they spent it good. Ferreira on a DP contract, Ariola and Velasco on the wings, Hollingshead replacement, upgrading goal. They're not going to blow I don't think they'll blow anybody out of the water, but they'll be a playoff team. And then 4, I got SKC. I think Shallowy takes a step back, but he'll still be okay. Russell will be in the same boat, probably take a step back. I think Gotti Kinda is ready for a massive year. I'm really excited for Gotti Kinda this year. And no Polito's going to hurt, but they've already got somebody in on the way. He'll get up to speed. They'll be fine.
All right. I got DeLoss at 7. I'm very surprised that you even recognize they have players this year.
How can I not? They've got Greg's favorite player playing on one wing.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah, they had a very good offseason this year. They spent the Pepe money very well. I would say for the most part, other than Pepe, they've done a pretty good job keeping a hold of their young, talented players, such as like Ferreira, for example, which is good because then I think they filled the pieces around them pretty well. Bringing in Paul Ariel is fantastic. Swapping Hollingshead for Farfan, I think, was a good move for both teams because LAFC is probably more win now than Dallas is, but Dallas is playing probably more so for the future and developing young players. They're good at that. So Farfan should be a good player for them. And then, yeah, just I think overall that they made a lot of improvements in this team. It's not so much reliant on one player anymore. And I think it's going to show, and they're going to make the playoffs this year. 6, I got Minnesota because I don't hate Minnesota. I don't have beef with them. I think they have a strong team. I like Hunu. I like Fragapane. I think Reynoso is going to bounce back after. I still think he was good last season. I just don't think he put up the box score numbers as well. But I think even in that regard, he's going to bounce back. I still, for whatever reason, just don't think that this team is at that top of the West level. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see this team being at the top of the West level. Maybe it's just a factor of lacking depth in areas, but I don't know. I can't put my finger exactly on it. Portland, I got 5. Portland is pretty consistent every year. They're always in the playoff picture. They're usually very tough to beat. For whatever reason, they don't seem to finish towards the top of the West much, at least from what I remember. But they're always in the picture. They got good players on the team. Yumi Chara, they got Diego Chara, they got Felipe Mora. They got talent there, and they're pretty consistent to the team that they brought out last year that made MLS Cup final. So I see them doing pretty well again. And then SKC at 4, pretty much a lot of what you said as well. I think that Shallowy and I'll say I think Shallowy probably peaked last year. I can't see him reproducing what he did I think I don't necessarily think he's gonna like completely fall off again, but I don't see him hitting MVP finalist numbers again. Russell is definitely a super talented player. I think he'll still be probably the most important player for them in terms of the attack. I think they're super solid defensively still, and in the midfield as well. And I agree with you. I think we're going to see a step up of Gotti Quinta this year. So I think that will help to offset Shallowy falling off a bit. And I think SKC will still stick around probably towards the top, but I think they drop out of the top 3 with the addition of Nashville this year.
All right. All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's finish this off. 3. I got Seattle. I mean, look at that front 5, right? And the back line that gave the least goals in the league last year, all coming back with the healthy Stefan Fry. The only reason I don't have them at 1 is because I think they're going to have times where they have so much talent they can't get them all on the field at once, and they're going to pick the wrong lineup a few more times than they usually do. I've been high on Nashville ever since the last episode. He's got the RBNY rejects rolling, is the way I will put it. He's 4 deep up top. He's got a really strong midfield back line, one of the best goalkeepers in the league. They're going to be very good in the West this year. Look for a breakout season from Ake Loba. They bought him 2020. Really hasn't seen much of him because CJ Sapong could not be taken out of the team. But I would not be surprised if he gets lots of good looks this year. And finally, LAFC at the top. I know in my bold prediction I said Sharundolo is going to mess it up. I don't think there's a physical way he can mess this one up. Arango ready for a full year. Vela healthy. Rodriguez, Acosta, Crepeau, Daniil Henry, Franco Escobar, Mamadou Fall. I mean, you're looking at a team that is just
don't forget Cifuentes. He's your
MVP candidate, baby. There's just unbelievable amounts of talent on this team. And I almost think it's going to be one of those things where all he has to do is show up and say play, and they'll just be fine. This is going to be a good team to watch in 2022.
Yeah, my top 3, same teams, just swapped. I just swapped Nashville and Seattle. I think Nashville probably one of, if not the deepest team in the league. They have just depth everywhere. The team is super well organized and they know how to play together. They're going to continue the success that they had in the East and just carry right over to the West. Doesn't matter if it's a change of teams. I don't know what it is exactly that's keeping me from putting them number 1. I guess maybe the attack. Like I think a lot runs through Hani Mukhtar, and I'm all for Hani, keeping up that productivity that he brought last season because he was phenomenal and should have been MVP. But we've had that conversation a million times.
We have.
I don't know if we get that again from him this year. I imagine probably so. I mean, he was on my list again for MVP finalist, but in the off chance that he doesn't, like if he gets injured, then I would be questioning where the attack centers through. Because I think Sapong is good, but I think he needs help. Leal is, I think, an explosive player, but he's out on the wings. I don't know how he would do in a central role in terms of like being a playmaker. And I don't know if we're getting a third DPOTY from Walker Zimmerman this year. And I would be very curious to see if the Nashville defense starts to slip up, how Joe Willis does in goal. Because Joe Willis was never like a big name prior to Nashville, but ever since he's gotten into Nashville, he just keeps tons of clean sheets. And my theory has always been that it's the back line that really is helping that cause a lot. Not that Joe isn't, of course, helping to the cause. I think, of course, he is. But I do think the back line definitely helps big time. And the midfield as well, Dax and adding Sean Davis as well. It's going to be great. They're going to be super strong. I think these top 3, in my opinion, are easily the top 3 in the West. I think they are a tier above the rest. Seattle, as you said, there's so much attacking talent in this team. It's crazy. It's so incredible. And they're deep too. I think they brought back Freddie Montero and Will Bruin too, right?
They did. They did.
Yeah, this team it's so crazy good going forward, and they're great. I mean, they have one of the best midfielders in the league in Chapalo. They have a rock solid defense with Yamar, Ariaga, Alex Roldan, and Stefan Fry in goal. I mean, this team is so good. I mean, honestly, going through these teams, I want to put them all first. Like these last three teams are so good on paper. It's so hard to pick between the three of them. I guess my concern with Seattle is Rusnak's new to the team, so we don't exactly know how he's going to fit in. JMO is coming back from an injury, so we don't exactly know what we're getting from JMO. So I think that, and where are they going to factor in Ladero? Is he going to be a super sub? Is he going to get game time? I just think there's a little bit too many question marks in terms of Seattle attack for me to stick them number one. But I mean, of course I'm going to pick LAFC one. I got to put my boy Maxime Crepeau up there. That's my hype train this year, Maxime Crepeau.
We all need to find one.
Yeah, I think this LAFC team on paper just looks so fun. I'm super big on Christian Aranjo. If you've listened to the podcast, you already know that. Vela is obviously Vela. I think he's going to come back this season like fully motivated, and with a super strong team around him, he's going to ball out. Honestly, I very much thought about putting him on the MVP list as well, but I tried to stray away from putting two LAFC players on there. I think Crepeau is a criminally underrated goalkeeper in this league, and now he has a superstar team around him to kind of help him shine. And I love the additions of Hollingshead, Franco Escobar, Mamadou
I didn't even add
Falls.
Hollingshead on there. That's funny.
Yeah, Mamadou Falls, I think, a very up and coming defender in this league. Their midfield is super strong with Cifuentes, and even though they lost Atuesta, imagine this team still at Atuesta. That's insane. Insane. Granted, I don't think they'd be able to hit salary rules if they still had Atuesta, but
right. Inter Miami didn't have to do it, and all they
true.
do is rebuild the entire team.
Rules are just a suggestion.
Exactly. You can be on the Crepeau hype train. I'm gonna take the Jackson Ewell at center back hype train.
Oh yeah,
and we'll see who wins.
I want to join on that hype train too. I mean, that's a fun one. But yeah, that's pretty much it. LAFC to the moon.
Yeah, I think we waffled on a bit there, so we're gonna have a little bit of editing to do. But thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. We're only a few days away from the MLS season. Make sure you stick around and follow us anywhere you get your podcasts. Next time we go live. Make sure you follow us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Just search the Designated Players Podcast. You'll find us. Live streams are coming. We're going to be putting out a schedule relatively soon. So make sure you are following us, so you know when we go live, and you can interact with us on some of our live streams as well. Anything else you want to add, Connor?
Yeah, who's your Supporter Shield winner?
Oh, it's too easy to say LAFC, isn't it?
Could be.
I'm going to go Atlanta. I'm going to say Atlanta because I think no, I'm going to go LAFC because the bottom 5 teams in the West are way, way worse than the bottom 5 teams in the East. I'm going to go LAFC.
I'm going to go Philly.
That's right. You had them at 1.
Yeah. I
was
think,
what do you mean? They're finishing second.
I think the 3 lowest teams in the East are like way worse than the lowest teams in the West.
That's 6 games you're looking at.
Yeah, but that's 18 points. Guaranteed 18 points. I feel like
don't guarantee anything in MLS. You know that.
That's fair. But I feel like RSL or like a Vancouver could like sneak up and like snag some points away from LAFC. Much easier than like an FCC or Charlotte could.
All right. Well then, thank you everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed. We will be tweeting out all of our roster finishes and what's the other one? Oh, we'll do weekly predictions again. We should bring those back. Just at we don't have to record it, but we'll just tweet them out. All right. See you all next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.